the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, it feels like it feels like kind of Groundhog Day if you're kind of the Buccaneers fan, because again, you win your division most years anyway. Again, apart from I know this season you didn't win your division, but you've won the NFC 4 years in a row, and you get to the wild card round or the divisional round maybe, and then you get eliminated. So it's not really, you don't really do too much in recent years since that Super Bowl win in 2020. But yeah, I feel like it's just this, whatever, you win a shit division, or no, you didn't win the division this year, but it just feels the same old, same old. And Todd Bowles, he's a decent level head coach. I'm not saying he's a bad head coach. I mean, there's a lot worse, and there's been a lot worse than Todd Bowles. But with every time that, again, because he's a defensive-minded head coach, every year you're losing your offensive-minded, your offensive coordinator. Like you lost Dave Canales to Panthers a number of years ago. You lost Liam Cohen to Jacksonville this past off in the 2025 off season. Again, it's every year you're turning out these offensive coordinators, and that only can last for so long. And it wasn't. It affected the Buccaneers, I think, tremendously this season, because Baker Mayfield, who's had a resurgence in Tampa Bay, looks like he's found a new home, especially like the work he did with Dave Canales, and what he did with Liam Cohen last season, or 2024. He took a backward step last year. The Buccaneers, they finished second in the NFC South for the first time in years, and there was an 8-9 team. Like, there's 3 teams in the NFC South that was on 8-9. The Panthers, we talked about yesterday, the Panthers and the Falcons, and also the Buccaneers. And their draft approach, obviously, they got Emi Abuka, wide receiver, which I thought he had a good rookie year from Ohio State. Emi Abuka, I thought it was good. I thought it was a good addition at wide receiver from Ohio State. Benjamin Morrison coming in, cornerback from Notre Dame. Again, you're beefing up that defense, but it didn't really matter because your defense sucked. Then Jacob Parrish, cornerback from Kansas State. Again, you've gained 2 cornerbacks here, and you're beefing up that defense. I like that. Outside linebacker David Walker from Central Arkansas. Elijah Roberts, defensive end. So again, you're focused on the edge rush side of things. And from SMU, you traded away, picked to the Lions. And then Tez Johnson, wide receiver. He was a late round pick. Tez Johnson, wide receiver from Oregon. When I saw Tez Johnson, he wasn't bad. I thought he had a good rookie year. I was impressed with some things that I saw with him. And then you really look at this roster. You got Bucky Irvin, you have Sean Tucker, you have Rashad White, and then on wide receivers you got Abuka. You got a Hall of Famer. Mike Evans, who Mike Evans is a future Hall of Famer, and he still had a great productive year. Chris Godwin, Cameron Jones, like I said, Tez Johnson, Jalen McMillan, Sterling Shepard. So you've got some good, decent weapons on wide receiver, and then the likes of Caden Otten, not too bad. Points forward, it was 18th out of 32. So again, their offense stunk in 2025. Though 18th out of 32. Again, I thought the offensive line wasn't the best. A lot of turnovers in pass protection, and just wasn't good either. And I think you're looking at 2025 and 2026. You've got to beef up the offensive line and get some more protection on pass protection. Defense sucked last year, which again you wouldn't say that. Again, defense was bad last year. They had the 20th best defense in the league with a defensive-minded head coach. Again, like that makes sense. You've got a defensive-minded head coach where his specialty is focusing on that side of the ball, but your defense is 20th in the league with a defensive-minded head coach. That is a problem, but you want to keep Todd Bowles on for 2026. Yeah, you're going to have more of the same next year, Buccaneers fans, so buckle up for next year, because, yeah, if I'm Todd Bowles for 2026, you're on the hot seat going into the season, going into 2026 anyway, for underperforming with this team. Your defense being 20th out of 32, you're on the nuclear hot seat. You're not, again, I would say like Zach Taylor's on top for being like the first coach to be first coach to be fired next year, and then you've got to look at definitely Todd Bowles at second. But yeah, 25 out of 32 with defensive mind head coach, things are going to change. You do have $14 million in cap space, so again, you do have a bit of cap space to actually do stuff, maybe move things around. Mike Evans is staying. I saw that a couple of days ago that Mike Evans has decided to stay on for 2026, so it's great for the Buccaneers. They have, again, another new offensive coordinator though, Zach Robinson. He was part of the Falcons last year though, so I don't really know what you're going to be getting in 2026. Maybe a bit of more regression. And then you look at their schedule though. Like, they started off pretty well. They started off 3-1 at the end of week 4, and you're like, that's not, well, 4. They started off like 6-2 at the end of week 8, and you're like, not bad. Not a bad start here. Again, you got some good wins at home against like the 49ers. You got a great win against the future Super Bowl champions in Seattle. You beat the Texans. You got wins against the Cardinals. So yeah, you didn't do too bad. But after that bye week, again, you lost to the Falcons at home. You lost to the Panthers on the road. You lost to Miami on the road. You lost to the Eagles at home, which again, Eagles had a bit of a transitional year, I thought, in my opinion. A little bit of a drop off from the Super Bowl success from last year. And then you lose your next 10 games against after that bye week against. Well, you lose your next couple of games after week 13. You lose your next couple of games against like the Saints at home. You lose to Falcons at home, then you lose to the Panthers on the road, and then you lose to Miami, and then you beat the Panthers, but ultimately the Panthers get that playoff place and win the NFC South, so it doesn't really matter. Draft, they do have a first round pick in the draft, 15th overall. First round, 15th overall. And they have a second round pick, and they have a third round pick, 77th overall. Fourth round pick, they have a 5th round, 6th and 7th round pick. But ultimately, this team, they need to beef up that defense. That defense needs a lot of work in the secondary. They need some more edge rushers and cornerbacks, and just keep beefing up that defense. Offensive line has to be addressed. Stop having Baker Mayfield getting turned over a ton of times in games, and maybe at some point you gotta look at a new quarterback for maybe 2027, 2028, and because again, look for the future. But ultimately, I just see more of the same for the Buccaneers next year. Not really much going on. But yeah, just an average season for the Buccaneers.